Welcome to The Explainer. Look, we all know L'Oreal. It's a 115-year-old heritage brand, right? But what you might have actually missed recently is its incredibly aggressive evolution into a massive 44.05 billion euro beauty tech powerhouse. So today, we're going to unpack the anatomy of L'Oreal's monumental 2026 corporate strategy, just to see exactly how they are completely reshaping the future of the industry. Okay, let's dive right into this. We're going to break this massive acceleration down into four main engines: record-breaking financial growth, bold strategic acquisitions, pioneering beauty technology, and finally, driving global social impact. Let's get to it. So, engine number one, record-breaking financial growth, and how they are accelerating that momentum. To really grasp what's happening here, you have to look at their baseline scale. CEO Nicholas Hieronymus reported that they aren't just growing, they are significantly outperforming the entire global beauty market. I mean, just looking at the first quarter of 2026, sales hit 12.15 billion euros. That's a 7.6% like-for-like growth. And by the end of the first half, a staggering 23.77 billion. And it's not just one lucky division. Every single division grew. We're talking double-digit surges in professional products and dermatological beauty, snatching up rapid market share in Europe and emerging markets alike. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that this isn't just about top-line revenue volume, 21.3%. That is the absolute record-breaking operating margin they pulled off in the first half of the year alone. To put that into perspective, we're talking about an operating profit of over 5 billion euros. So they aren't just selling more products, they are operating with absolute, ruthless bottom-line efficiency. And you know, a huge chunk of that efficiency comes straight from their digital storefronts. E-commerce surged by an amazing 18%, hitting 7.4 billion euros. That literally means their online sales are growing almost twice as fast as the overall market. It completely cements their aggressive dominance in the e-commerce space. Moving on to engine number two, bold strategic acquisitions and securing the future of luxury. So with all this newly generated capital, they're not just sitting on it. They are actively deploying it to lock down dominant long-term positions. Just look at the sheer velocity of their deal-making across the spring and summer of 2026 alone. You have the Kering Beauté deal in March, a majority stake in Innovist secured in June, and then July capped the whole thing off with a historic 50-year license with Gucci. What makes these acquisitions so brilliant is the dual-pronged strategy here. On one hand, the Kering deal locks down pure European heritage luxury. They bring the prestigious House of Creed in-house alongside those exclusive licenses for Bottega Veneta and Balenciaga. But then, on the flip side, you have Innovist. This is an estimated $400 million bet aimed directly at India's massive youth market, picking up digital-first, clean ingredient brands like Bare Anatomy and Chemist at Play. So it's high-end heritage luxury on one end and super agile emerging markets on the other. But honestly, the crown jewel is the Gucci agreement. So the crucial point is, this is a 50-year exclusive global license to develop and distribute their fragrances and beauty products. And get this, they snatched it up a full year ahead of schedule after Kering and Coty terminated their old deal early. Set to launch in 2028, L'Oreal executives genuinely believe this monumental coup will build an entirely new, multi-billion euro house basically from the ground up. Which brings us to engine number three. Pioneering beauty technology and moving way beyond cosmetics. When you see their intense focus on hardware, it becomes so obvious that L'Oreal is operating way more like an agile tech conglomerate than a traditional beauty brand. Take their Light Straight Plus Multi-Styler, which actually won a CES 2026 Innovation Award. Traditional straighteners basically bake your hair at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, which obviously causes major long-term damage. But L'Oreal engineered this patented infrared light technology that caps the heat at a max of 320 degrees. It styles hair 3 times faster and twice as smooth without the extreme heat damage. It's a perfect example of hardware innovation solving a universal, everyday pain point. But their tech dominance goes way beyond physical hardware. It's also about deeply integrated software. Back at VivaTech 2026, they announced this landmark collaboration with OpenAI, and it's all designed to solve what their chief digital and marketing officer, Asmita Dubey, calls the 11-minute paradox. Here's the fascinating thing. Consumers are now spending roughly 11 minutes in AI chat sessions just researching beauty products. L'Oreal realized, hey, we absolutely need to own and optimize that entire conversational journey. let's move to the specifics and see how this builds out, because this OpenAI integration is definitely not just some flashy website chatbot gimmick. Expanding on their 2025 NVIDIA partnership, generative AI is now actively assisting 4,000 L'Oreal researchers in formulating brand new cosmetics using bio-based approaches right there in the lab. They are quite literally fundamentally transforming the entire pipeline, from the front-end consumer shopping experience all the way down to core scientific research at the cellular level. And finally, that brings us to our fourth pillar, driving global social impact and protecting communities. Because look, for a corporate giant to actually sustain this kind of unprecedented acceleration, it absolutely has to be balanced with real ESG responsibilities. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer urgency of the situation. 110 million people. That is how many people were affected by natural disasters in 2025 alone. Recognizing that 85% of those events are linked directly to climate change, L'Oréal stepped up. They renewed their climate emergency fund with an additional 20 million euros through 2030 to support the world's most vulnerable communities. So how does that 20 million euros translate into real, on-the-ground action? Well, the fund currently backs over 30 different projects across 32 countries globally. Let me give you a few examples. In India, they've launched a first-of-its-kind heat insurance program that covers 50,000 women working in informal jobs. Over in Peru and Ecuador, they're actually using AI to help local Amazonian communities anticipate devastating floods before they happen. And in Kenya, they're training young people in Nairobi's informal settlements to provide critical mental health support. It is highly localized, highly targeted impact that protects basic human dignity. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative question, doesn't it? Is L'Oréal still a traditional cosmetics company, or are they actually the definitive blueprint for the future of tech, luxury, and social responsibility? I mean, we're watching a 115-year-old heritage giant post absolute record-breaking margins, secure century-defining luxury licenses, plug OpenAI directly into its scientific labs, and simultaneously fund vital climate resilience all over the globe. It's certainly a lot to think about. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this leaves you curious to see exactly what this beauty tech powerhouse does next.